So, yesterday we were continuing on the commentary of this hadith of Salman radiallahu anhu, where many of the virtues of Ramadan are explained. So, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that this is Shahru Muwasa, that is the month of sympathy for one another. So, he mentions sympathy for the poor. Further, the hadith states that it is the month of sympathy, especially for the poor. Sympathy should be of a practical nature. When 10 things are placed before us for iftar, at least 2 or 4 of them should be set aside for the poor and needy. In fact, they should be treated preferentially, if not, then at least equally. So we should try to treat the needy preferentially, give them more of what we have. But if not, then at least equally. They should certainly be remembered. In showing sympathy for the poor, as in all other matters, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum were living examples, and in this it is our duty to follow, or at least try to follow them. In the matter of sacrifice and sympathy, only the courageous can emulate the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. There are numerous instances that, if cited, will only leave one in astonishment. Let us see the following example. Abu Jaham narrates that during the Battle of Yarmouk, I went in search of my paternal cousin, taking with me a water bag to give him to drink, and also wash his wounds if he was found alive or wounded. I found him lying among the wounded. When I asked him whether he wanted some water, he indicated yes. At that moment, someone near him groaned. My cousin pointed to that person, indicating that I should first quench the thirst of the neighbor. I found him thirsty and asking for water. But just as I was about to give him water, a third person indicated his need. The second one pointed to this third person, meaning that I should give the third one to drink first. I went to the third person, but before he could drink, I found that he had passed away. Whereupon I returned to the second one, only to find that he too had passed away. When I came to my cousin, he too had passed on. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ji. It means passed away. Yes, he died. He became shaheed. This is the type of sympathetic character our forefathers had. They preferred to die while thirsty rather than to drink before a Muslim brother. May Allah be pleased with them all and grant us the ability to follow in their footsteps. Ameen. Gee. And we like to quickly jump at the cake, the pizza, before anyone else gets a chance. Gee, Khadija. So we should think about others too, huh? And so today we don't jump at it, we jump on it. This is the commentary by Sheikh Saad. I think it is correct. So this is the type of sympathetic character our forefathers had. Ruh al-Bayan quotes from Imam Suyuti's rahmatullah alayh, his Jami' al-Saghir, and Imam Sakhawi's Maqasid, the narration of Hazrat ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, at all times in my ummah, there will be 500 chosen servants and 40 abdal, meaning pious ones, totally devoted to Allah. When any one of these passes away, then immediately he is succeeded by another. The Sahaba inquired, what are their exclusive deeds? Sahaba radiallahu anhum inquired, what are their exclusive deeds? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, they overlook the injustices of the transgressors, and they show kindness to those who ill-treat them, and from the sustenance provided for them by Allah, they engender sympathy and graciousness. So these are a collection of people, as mentioned in the hadith, who are very close to Allah. They're of a very high status. Sahaba radiallahu anhum asked, what are their qualities? What are their qualities? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, they overlook the injustices of the transgressors done to them. not in general, but which are done where their rights are taken away. And they show kindness to those who ill treat them. And from the sustenance provided for them by Allah, they engender sympathy and graciousness. So they overlook the injustices done towards them. They forgive the wrongs that people do them. Someone treats them badly, it's okay. Someone speaks bad about them, it's okay. And from what they have, they spend on others. These are the qualities of these people. This is a lesson for us. Many times someone treats us badly and then it's all war, all out war on them. We don't talk to them. We want to fight them. We want to have nothing to do with them. But this is not the way of the pious people. Someone, of course, you don't get yourself into a problematic situation, but from our side, we let it go. We let it go. Inshallah, Allah will let our mistakes go too. In another hadith, it is stated that whoever feeds the hungry, clothes the naked, and grants shelter to the traveler, Allah shall save him from the terrors of Qiyamah. In another hadith, it is stated that whoever feeds the hungry, clothes the naked, and grants shelter to the traveler, Allah shall save him from the terrors of Qiyamah. Yahya Barmaki rahmatullah alayhi used to grant Hazrat Sufyan Thawri 1,000 dirhams every month. Whereupon Hazrat Sufyan radiallahu anhu used to make sajda before Allah praying, O Allah, Yahya has seen sufficiently to my worldly needs. See you through your great mercy to his necessities in the hereafter. So this person Yahya Barmaki rahmatullah alayhi used to grant Hazrat Sufyan Thawri rahmatullah alayhi 1,000 dirhams every month. So Sufyan Thawri rahmatullah alayhi was a great muhaddith. He was a great scholar, and this person used to give him 1,000 dirhams every month. So Hazrat Sufyan Thawri made dua for him. He would make sajda before Allah, praying, O Allah, Yahya has seen sufficiently to my worldly needs. See you through your great mercy to his necessities in the hereafter. After the demise of Yahya, some people saw him in their dreams, and on inquiring what had happened to him in the hereafter, he replied, through the dua of Sufyan, I have been forgiven by Allah. Further, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned the virtue of feeding a fasting person at the time of iftar. In one hadith, it is reported that upon him who feeds a person at the time of iftar out of his halal earnings, the angels confer mercy during the nights of Ramadan, and on the night of Laylatul Qadr, Jibreel alayhi salam shakes hands with him. The signs of this is that his heart becomes soft while tears flow from his eyes. Hamad bin Salama, a very famous muhaddith, used to feed 50 people every day during Ramadan at iftar. Thereafter, the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called the first section of Ramadan the coming of mercy. So we just covered that section, which was talking about sympathy and feeding the people in Ramadan. Now onto the next section, where the hadith is mentioning the different periods, the first 10 days, second 10 days, third 10 days. So thereafter, the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called the first section of Ramadan the coming of mercy. By this is meant that Allah's favor is with the believers. Those who are thankful to Allah for His bounties receive even more. The Quran says, if you are thankful, I will surely grant you more. During the second section of Ramadan, forgiveness begins to descend as a reward for the fasting during the first section. The last section of Ramadan brings immunity from entrance to Jahannam. This is confirmed by many similar ahadith. In my personal opinion, Ramadan has been divided into three sections because people are normally of three types. Firstly, there are those who have no burden of sins. For them, Allah's mercy and bounties descend from the very beginning of Ramadan. So there are those people who are completely clean, who don't have many sins. For them, mercy from the very beginning. Secondly, there are those whose burden of sins are not too heavy. For them, forgiveness descends after 1/3 of Ramadan has passed. Thirdly, there are the real sinners. For them, forgiveness comes after having fasted the major portion of Ramadan. As for those who attain Allah's mercy right at the beginning, their sins were already forgiven. What can one say about them? For them, there is mercy upon mercy. Another point mentioned in the hadith is that employers should be lenient to their employees in Ramadan, because, after all, they too are fasting. Unnecessary hard work or too much of it will be a burden for them. So why should an extra worker not be hired when the work is too much? That, of course, only applies when the employee himself fasts. Otherwise, there is no difference for them between Ramadan and any other month. Words cannot describe the position of the shameless oppressor who does not fast and drives his employees unnecessarily. And if there is any delay due to salah or fasting, he is outraged. Regarding such people, the Quran states, and soon the oppressor will come to know where his abode is, Jahannam. Lastly, in the hadith, Rasulullah ﷺ exhorted four things should be repeated constantly. Firstly, the recitation of the kalimat tayyibah, which in the ahadith is called the highest form of dhikr. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. In Mishkat, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu reports, once Nabi Musa alayhi salam begged of Allah to grant him a special dua by which he can remember Allah and also by which he could ask of him. Then Allah informed him to recite this kalima. Allah asked him to recite this kalima. Nabi Musa alayhi salam said, O Allah, this is a kalima recited by all your servants. I desire a special dua. Allah replied, O Musa, if the seven heavens, the earth, and all its occupants, including the angels, except myself, are placed on one side of a scale and this kalima on the other, then this kalima will outweigh everything. In another hadith, it is stated, should anyone sincerely recite this kalima, the doors to the sky open up immediately, and nothing can stop it from reaching Allah's throne. The only condition is that the reciter should refrain from major sins. Allah's system is such that He grants basic needs in abundance. We see all over the world that whatever is generally needed is found in abundance. For example, water, which is a basic necessity. How common has Allah in His infinite mercy made this basic necessity, and how rare has He made the unmeaningful use of alchemy. Similarly, the kalima tayyibah is the most excellent form of dhikr. Allah has made it common to humanity so that none is deprived of it. Hence, if any person is deprived of it, it is only due to his misfortune. There are numerous ahadith regarding its virtue, and for the sake of brevity, they are not mentioned here. The second is istighfar, which should be recited in abundance. Many of a virtue of istighfar are reported in ahadith. In one hadith we read, whoever says much istighfar, Allah opens an exit for him from all difficulties and releases him from all sorrows. In a similar manner, he receives a rizq from unexpected sources. In another hadith, Rasulullah ﷺ said that every man is a sinner, that the best amongst the sinners are those who repent and seek forgiveness. We will soon mention a hadith wherein it is mentioned that when a man commits a sin, a black spot forms on his heart. But when he repents, it is washed away. If not, the black spot remains. Thereafter, Rasulullah ﷺ commanded us to beseech two things without which we cannot do: to beg Allah for entrance into Jannah and seek refuge in Him from Jahannam. May Allah grant you and I this good fortune. Ameen. So inshallah, we are possibly right on the brink of Ramadan starting. Very likely the moon will be sighted. And we wait for the sighting, inshallah, for the confirmation, but it's likely that it will start. It will be sighted, inshallah. So may Allah give us tawfiq to use our Ramadan properly, to be involved in all of these things that we have read. Keep this and the Ramadan of our elders in front of us, and try to emulate it as best as possible. ठीक है. जी, अच्छा। سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون